How's it going, retro people? My name is Brad, this is Retro Style Spotlight, and this is your news, notes, history, and retro games to play for the week of November 15th, 2016. Last week's tutorial was all about the TurboGrafx 16 and the TurboGrafx CD for the second time. This time around, the tutorial is a bit more cleaned up and straightforward. If you already set these systems up before with RetroArch, then there isn't going to be too much new information in this one. However, some things have changed, so if you're curious or need to set them up for the first time, then check it out in the link below. A few weeks back, I talked about the Neo Geo MVS flash cart making its way to the public, and now it's finally here. Officially called Neo SD, the product is now available for purchase and starts shipping today, November 15th, 2016. The device costs about €380, which is about $412 USD. While the cost of most flash carts are fairly expensive, considering the total cost of trying to get just a couple of your favorite games for any given system, a flash cart really opens up many more possibilities and at a much more affordable price. I am an avid lover for old school CRPGs, and in an era where old school makes a comeback fairly often, I am entranced by Tyranny, an old school styled CRPG. However, in Tyranny, moral choices are shades of existing evil rather than anything actually good. That's because in this game, the evildoers have already won. The game pits the player as a character called a Fatebinder, who is the roaming judge, jury, and executioner, and the choices the player make actually affects the world around you. In some RPGs, the choices you make are a simple, binary, black or white choice, where the end result usually means some sort of systems-based reward and the story continues on for the most part, with maybe a few dialogue changes. But not here. If you are a game player that loves games like Baldur's Gate, Planescape Torment, or even the more recent Pillars of Eternity and want something that is drastically different, then Tyranny should be for you. It offers its stories from a completely different point of view. Instead of trying to save the world or being given the choice of being good or evil, you really have the view from the bad guys, and as the proverbial right-hand man of the conqueror of this world, it's drastically different. The Super Famicom, Japanese-only Satellaview, has some pretty awesome, extremely rare games, and there is now a recent addition to that library that was thought lost, and this one is even new to me. Called Kirby's Toy Box, it is a series of Kirby sub or mini games, which could have all been individually downloaded from the mid-90s Japanese-only service. Frank Cifaldi, a retro gaming preservationist and a person with whom we have a ton of respect for around here, has announced that him and his group have won 4 of these games from auction for about 85,500 yen, or about $813. 4 games were purchased on 4 different carts, 3 of which were from one collector. The 4 games were Circular Ball, Cannonball, Pachinko, and a Range Ball. Circular Ball, or Balls Round and Round, is a game where the player fires spherical Kirbys through a spiral tube. This tube has holes in it, which a speedy Kirby will pass right over. The point is to fire the Kirbys with just the right amount of power to pass over certain holes, but slow down and fall into another hole. Different holes give different numbers of points, so the goal of the player is to shoot his or her Kirbys into the highest scoring hole as much as possible. When the player runs out of Kirbys, the game ends. Cannonball is a game where the player controls a gigantic robot hamster, which can shoot spherical Kirbys out from his head. A large hill divides the screen into 2 halves, with player 1 on the left. The right side is occupied by another robot hamster, which is controlled by a CPU or a second player. The goal of the game is to defeat the opponent robot by hitting it with enough Kirbys. Each robot can move its head to change the direction and angle of the Kirbys it fires, and they can also walk slowly forward and backward. When one robot is defeated, the game ends with the surviving robot being the winner. The Pachinko game is like a pachinko machine. The goal is to launch the spherical Kirbys the player is given into the pockets of the machine. The player is given 2 minutes to fire an unlimited amount of Kirbys, and he or she is given control of the power put into each shot. 10 points are awarded whenever a Kirby lands into a pocket. If a shot lands directly atop the big Kirby in the center, the player will temporarily win a chance to earn more points. The big Kirby will raise his arms and give 100 points to each shot that hits him in one of 3 locations. When time is up, the game ends. Arrange balls, or arranging balls, the player is given the goal of launching spherical Kirby's into the 9 holes occupied by Mr. Frosty's. The player is given a certain number of Kirby's to launch, and the game ends when he or she runs out of Kirby's to shoot. The player can choose how much power to put into each shot. Points are awarded if the player lands 3 Kirby's in a row. The more rows the player completes, the more points they will earn. So while not the most astounding hidden treasures to have been found, they are fantastic hidden treasures nonetheless, and this makes me wary of a completely digital future. But I hope ventures like the Satellaview, Sega Channel, and early BBS-only distributed games are a major red flag for developers and publishers, that they need to take better care of their preservation, or their work will forever be lost to the ether. Now it's time for Retro Remix Song of the Week. This week's song is called Pull the Plug, which is based on Mega Man 1's Elect Man stage theme and Mega Man 10's Plug Man theme. Remixed by Will Rock, this is a very fast synth electronic sound that had me tapping my foot listening to it for this segment. Give the song a shot over at ocremix.org, where the links are in the description. This month in 1991, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past was released to Japan, but is better known as The Legend of Zelda: Triforce of the Gods to the Japanese public. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is an action-adventure video game developed and published by Nintendo for the Super Famicom and the Super Nintendo. It is the third installment in the Legend of Zelda series and was released in 1991 in Japan and 1992 in North America and Europe. The plot of A Link to the Past focuses on Link as he travels on a journey to save Hyrule, defeat Ganon, and rescue maidens related to the sages. A Link to the Past uses a 3/4 top-down perspective similar to that of the original Legend of Zelda, while dropping the side-scrolling elements of Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link. A Link to the Past introduced elements to the series that are still commonplace today, such as the concept of an alternate or parallel world, the Master Sword, and other new weapons and items. Released to critical and commercial success, A Link to the Past was a landmark title for Nintendo and is widely considered today to be one of the greatest video games of all time, just like last week's Ocarina of Time. A Link to the Past is one of the best-selling SNES games with 4.61 million units sold worldwide, and had an exceptionally long stay on Nintendo Power's top games list, ranking number 2 in Nintendo Power's last issue. When the SNES list was finally retired, A Link to the Past had more than 5 consecutive years in the number 1 spot. A Link to the Past was ported to the Game Boy Advance with slight changes and is available for the Wii, Wii U, and new Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console. On November 22nd, 2013, Nintendo released a sequel titled The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, which takes place in the same world but features a new storyline, new puzzles, and original dungeons. Height and depth play a large role in the game by taking advantage of the 3DS's 3D feature, while maintaining the traditional top-down perspective. This game was also commercially and critically well acclaimed. If you are a patron that pledged to be a part of our Patreon campaign and are watching this early, then thank you very much. For those of you who pledged at the producer level role, your names are now on screen. If you are interested in seeing your name as a part of Retro Style Spotlight, the tutorials, and have it be inside of the Launchbox application, then head on over to our Patreon link in the description below. At just $2 a month, you can see content like RSS early, and at the higher tiers you start to unlock things like exclusive Discord server access, producer credits, and a personal hangout with the Launchbox team. Any dollar amount anyone pledges to our campaign is helping us create a better product on every front. So that was Retro Style Spotlight for the week of November 15th, 2016. All of the relevant links to everything you heard in this edition of RSS will be in the description below. Remember, you can sign up for a Launchbox Forum account, and if Launchbox has given you a beautiful library of games, then why not purchase a premium license of Launchbox for $20 to access Big Box, which is a controller and couch-oriented version of Launchbox. The Launchbox Games database is available for any user to contribute to as well. Jason, Kirsten, and I, along with the rest of the team, have a lot planned for our community, so if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, we're doing a tutorial video every Friday, live developer sessions, Launchbox news, Q&As, and a ton more content in the future. Let us know what you think of RSS and any feedback you may have on it. My name is Brad, the link to my channel is below, and remember, freaks and geeks, to play more games, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day!